low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
Hey guys, welcome back, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to crochet a shrug. So I'm actually making a matching shrug for this heart that I made for a client. So this is in a size medium. I'm going to be using a size 7mm hook because I want my work to be a bit loose. And I'll be using 2 strands of yarn, and each of this yarn weighs 45 grams. So this is the front part, and I took this measurement across her chest from shoulder to shoulder, and I got 18 inches, but I'll make a chain count that measures up to 19.5 inches. So I'm going to start by making a slip knot, and I'll make chain count that is a multiple of 2 plus 1. So I'll make 74 chains plus 1. It means I'm starting with a total of 75 chains. And the reason why I made a chain count that measures up to 19.5 inches is because our turning chain is going to take up the extra inches, which is going to give us 18 inches. Once we start our first row. So this is our chain count. So this is our chain all done, 74 chains all done, and it measures about 19.5 inches. Next, I'm going to add the extra 1 chain, and I'll count 4 chains from the hook. Then I'll double crochet into the 5th chain, and that creates our first square. Now chain 1, skip 1 chain, and double crochet into the next stitch. Chain 1 again, skip 1 chain, and double crochet it into the next stitch. And you're going to chain 1 again, skip 1 chain, and double crochet into the next stitch. And this is basically all what you're going to be doing for this first row. So you're just going to continue like this, chaining 1, skipping 1 chain, double crocheting into the next stitch until you get to the end of the chains. Once again, chain 1, skip 1 chain, and double crochet into the next stitch, and we'll continue this until we get to the very end of the chain. So do this down the line, and I'll meet you at the end of the chain to tell you what to do next. This is actually called the mesh stitch. And at the end, you should have 2 chains left, and all you have to do is just make a double crochet stitch into the very last chain. And this is why it is important to start with a chain count that is a multiple of 2 before adding an extra 1. So after my first row is done, I like to take a measurement to be sure I have the exact measurement I want from the beginning, which is in 18 inches. And I also like to count the boxes, so I began by creating a chain of 75, and this theoretically should result in 36 boxes. So if we divide 70 by 2, we get 35, and the extra 5 chains were the turning chain that made the first box in the pattern. For the second row, we are going to chain 3 and turn our work around. So the first 2 chains stands as our double crochet stitch, and the extra last, the 3rd chain, stands for the chain 1 space that we're leaving for this pattern. So I'm going to make a double crochet stitch on top of the double crochet stitch that we already made from the previous row, then chain 1, and then I'll make another double crochet stitch in the next stitch, chain 1 again, and another double crochet stitch into the next stitch. So we are Basically just placing a double crochet stitch into the double crochet stitches that we've already made from the previous row. So chain 1 for the box space, and then a double crochet stitch into the double crochet stitch that we already made from the previous row. And this is all what we are going to be doing for this row. So continue like this until you get to the end of the row, and I'll come back to tell you what to do next. So this is what we have. This is what the work looks like. And at the end, for the last stitch, you're just going to locate the middle stitch. So we have 3 chains there, so you're just going to make a double crochet stitch into the middle chain. So the chain in the middle, you're going to make your last double crochet stitch into the very chain in the middle, and that's going to make up for our last box in the second row. So you can see. Next, you're going to chain 3 again and turn your work around. Then you're going to make a double crochet stitch into that double crochet stitch from the second row. So this is our row 3 now. So chain 1, double crochet stitch into the next stitch. So chain 1 and double crochet stitch into the next stitch. So you're not making a double crochet stitch into the boxes. Instead, you have to locate the top of the double crochet stitch that you made from the previous row and make a double crochet stitch. And you're just going to continue like that until you get to the end of the row. And at the end of the row, you just have to locate the middle chain and place your last double crochet stitch into the very middle chain, which is going to create our last box. And after that, all you have to do is chain 3 again. After chaining 3, just turn your work around and continue doing the same thing. So you place your stitch there, your double crochet stitch, into the stitch from the previous row. And you're just going to continue like this until you get to the end of the row. And I did this for a total of 9 rows, and it measures about 6 inches. So this is the length that I actually want, 6 inches. You can do more rows if you want, depends on how long you want your shrug to be. So you can do more or less rows, but 6 inches is totally fine for me. And for the neck, I always advise that you place this on your body to determine how you want your neck to be. And then I like to count the total number of boxes that I have. So the person I'm making this for actually wants an off shoulder kind of neck, so I already know what I'm going to do here. So I know I'm going to leave like small spaces from the beginning. So like I said, count your total number of boxes, because we're going to work on the parts where we want closed, leaving the other part open. So I counted 5 boxes, and I'm just going to place a kind of like a stitch marker. Please don't mind my yarn marker. And then I'll go to the other side as well, and I'll count 5 boxes. So I'm going to place my yarn stitch marker on the 5th box, like into the 5th box. So that's just going to help me mark. So this very part now that's in between, in the middle, it's where the neck part, the neckline would be. So that's where the neck would be. So you can see it's wide, and that is our off shoulder neck. So I like to count that part again, and it's 26. So it means I took 5 from each side, which is 10. And remember, we had a total of 36. So 36 minus 10 gives us 26 in the middle. So next, I'll just like to complete my double crochet stitch from that part. Then I'll chain 3 again, just like we usually do. And then after chaining 3, I'm just going to continue placing my double crochet stitch into that stitch there from the previous row. So basically what we've been doing, only we're going to make a little difference here for the neck part. So just continue placing your stitches into all of the stitches until you get to where you placed your stitch marker. So 1 2 3 4, and that 5th box there, I'm going to place my last double crochet stitch into the 5th box stitch. And next I'm going to make chains. So I'm going to make a total number of chains that is going to give me the exact number of boxes that I have in the middle. So I have 26 boxes in the middle. So 26 times 2 is 52, and I'm going to minus 1 from that 52. So I'm going to make 51 chains. So whatever number of boxes you have in the middle, multiply it by 2 and minus 1, then make a number of chain that equation gives you. So I have my 51 chains made now, and on top of that box where I placed my stitch marker, I'm just going to make a double crochet stitch there. So double crochet stitch into the stitch that is in the 5th hole. Then I'll chain 1 and make a double crochet stitch into the next stitch. So this is how I actually made the neck. So I just attached the chains that I made to this double crochet stitch that is in that I actually placed the stitch marker in. And then I just continued my pattern as usual, chain 1, double crochet stitch. And so this is what the project looks like right now. For the next row, we're going to chain 3 as usual and place double crochet stitches into the first 5 stitches, which brings us to where our chain started. Alright, so when you get to this part, you're just going to make chain 1. I already made mine, and then you're going to skip 1 chain from that stitch, and then you're going to place your double crochet stitch into the next chain. Then you chain 1 again and place your next double crochet stitch. Skip 1 chain space and then place a double crochet stitch into the next chain. So chain 1, skip 1 chain space and place a double crochet stitch into the next chain. And you're just going to continue like that until you get to the other part. So I'm almost at the other part now. I have 3 chains left, and I'm just going to chain 1, skip 1 chain space and make a double crochet stitch there. And then I'm going to make my next double crochet stitch into that double crochet stitch from the previous row. So chain 1, leave 1 chain space and make a double crochet stitch there. So I'm almost at the last part now. So I just chain 1 and I have 1 chain space left already. Next, I'm just going to place my double crochet stitch into that stitch from the previous row. So into that very stitch, I'm just going to place my double crochet stitch there. So that's the reason why we made 51 chains. So instead of 52 chains, we made 51, because that double crochet stitch there actually adds up to complete our boxes for the neck. And then I'm just going to chain 1 and continue my pattern as usual until I get to the end of the row. So I just continue my pattern as usual. This is the very end, and I'm just placing my last double crochet stitch into the middle chain from the chain 3 that I made from the previous row, just as we've been doing. Then I chain 3 again, turn my work around. So this is the neck part, and I always like to count just to make sure. So I have 36 chains. So if you count yours, you should have the exact number of chains here that you have on the other side. So since I have exact number of boxes. So since I have 36 boxes on this other part, I have 36 boxes on the other part as well. So I just continued. I made 8 more rows on the other part again, and this is what I have. So for the sleeve, I'm just going to flip my work over just like I did, and I'm going to make sure the right side is outside and the wrong side is inside. So I'm going to attach now so I can start working on my sleeve. So before attaching, I just chained 1, and I took the other part and I just put it together. Then I'm going to attach it just like this. So I'm going to attach it with a slip stitch. And after making my slip stitch, I'm going to chain 3. And I'm going to place my work like this. So this is where our sleeve is going to start from. So here is the right side, and the part inside is the wrong side. So after making the 3 chains, we are going to try to find the top where we can actually start working our pattern into. And so you're just going to place your double crochet stitch, chain 1, and into the next stitch you're going to place your double crochet stitch again, chain 1, and into the next stitch just place your double crochet stitch and chain 1. So you're just going to continue like that until you get to where the parts meet. So when you get to this part, you're just going to chain 1 and place your double crochet stitch into the last stitch there. Then you can see there's 1 extra chain left there. You're just going to chain 1 again, and then you're going to attach the both sides with a slip stitch. So from that chain 3 you made, you're just going to go to the middle like how we've been doing before, and then attach with a slip stitch and make 3 chains. And then you're just going to continue again, placing your double crochet stitch into the double crochet stitches you've already made from the previous row. So the sleeves is actually the easier part because you're just working in rounds and you're attaching, working in rounds and you're attaching until you get to the length that you want. And for my sleeves, I just kept working in rounds until I got up to 18 inches. So I worked this for as many rows as I want until I got 18 inches because the person I'm making this for wants it to be at 18 inches, and I took her measurement. And so you're just going to continue like this until you get to the length that you want. And so for the sleeve, you basically just have to keep working in rounds until you get to the length that you want. I'm so sorry I had to finish this off camera, so I cannot show you how I filmed the complete sleeve, but I have a tutorial on how I made a sleeve. I'm going to put a link in the description box, so if you want to go and watch that one, there's no big difference. It's basically the same thing. It's just working in rounds until you get to the end. You make your slip stitch and then you cut your yarn, and that's all. So the owner of this had to travel and I couldn't film the total sleeve because I had to complete it off camera and give it to her. But I have a video of this on my channel, which I'm going to put a link in the description box for you to check. Yeah, so the link to the video of the crochet shrug tutorial I had previously made on my channel, it's in the description box. You can click to go watch that one just to see how I completed the sleeves. And it's not exactly necessary, guys, because you can actually do the sleeves on your own as well. So for the second sleeve, I just had to place the two sides like this again, attached it with a slip stitch, and then chain 3. Then I started working in rounds again, and so I continued until I got to this length. So this is what my final length looks like. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. I'm always here to reply you. Bye, and see you in my next video.